All right, welcome back, man, to another recap video. Days like this are the ones that make this shit fun because being in and out of a position within like 100 seconds is kind of insane. So I went short right here at 9:45, right when the candle opened. Tapped the inversion. I was targeting this 15-minute gap fill, and it delivered beautifully, man. And let's get into it, man. Let me clean this up for you guys so you can see exactly what the approach was today. So coming into the session, obviously we have this Thursday, April 16th. What is going on? Let's put it right here. Why is it going to NASDAQ continuous? I want it on MNQ. All right, perfect. So coming into the session, obviously we have a lot of things to dissect, right? So yesterday we had an aggressive sell-off that was just completely wiped out, right? So right before the session started, what I'm looking for is we're trading higher out of the daily fair value gap. We have this inefficiency here that price kind of used as respect, as well as the midpoint of the daily fair value gap. So if we go to the daily, you'll see it here a little bit clearer. So we have the daily fair value gap. Price closed pretty strong in a conviction for me that will lead towards bullish because we closed above the midpoint. We came down, we tapped all the liquidity on the lower time frames, and then we kind of reversed back higher, right? So if you see yesterday, this reaction, we get this reversal here. We come back higher. We're trading out of this daily gap, out of this 15-minute gap, midpoint of the daily just shooting up, right? So this 15-minute gap is going to be a little bit important. Well, extremely important, a little bit. But once I see this all-time high is just stacked up with all this liquidity here, this trendline liquidity as well as this, I want to see this be tapped into at some point. But the thing that was going to determine that for me was if we inverted this 15-minute bearish gap, right? Because we also have these equal lows and we have this untapped 15-minute. So I was a little bit neutral coming into the session. I wanted to see a lot of stuff happen before I went in any direction, right? So is the most important if then, right? If this is an inversion, I'll target higher. If this is respected, I want to see lower, right? Eventually maybe trading down into the Asia lows. So when we open, it's just immediately down, right? So this gap here is where I had my first limit order because I'm like, okay, we're clearly not looking for, price clearly doesn't want to go higher now because I see this. A lot of people can say, oh, but we swept the low and all that stuff. The Judas swing, it's all about context, right? Just because we have all of these learning points and points of reference doesn't mean that it's gonna be every day the 9:30 open is gonna have a Judas swing, right? So I'm looking at everything I'm telling you. So we clearly don't want to go higher because look how ES is respecting this gap, which is a news gap, which is always pretty important. And it kind of, as soon as we open, it disrespects all of these PD arrays and creates these equal lows. So now I'm like, okay, I want a limit order here. I'll target the lows and nothing more. But obviously, it runs without me. So at this point, I won't take this short because we're already a little bit extended and we took this low and we could easily just sweep the low and come back up. What happens next? A lot of people probably took this inversion, which is, in my opinion, it's not terrible, but it's also not the greatest. Why? Because when I have a trade idea like this with a first presented fair value gap on top, I want to see that inverted as well, right? Because the first presented holds a lot of weight. And this shows you exactly why that's not a good trade to take, because Yes, it inverted this, but if you go break even in this gap, that's a different story. So if you enter here, you say, okay, as soon as we go into first presented, I'm gonna go break even just to protect myself. That's a different story. Excuse me, I'm a little sick. But that's not some. I wanted to see the reaction to the first presented, and if I read my journal, it says price trending lower. We swept sell side, then bounced. Didn't have any clear buy side objectives, which we clearly don't, unless you consider these equal highs a buy side objective or this gap, but not for me. And when price enter first presented, I wanted to see a reaction. So is that if then? If we reach into here, I want to see how we react. I'm not just going to short this and I'm not just going to long this because this holds a lot of weight. So this inversion here is not the greatest. But if this is something that you like to take based off of how you trade and it was just a loss for you, there's nothing wrong with that. That's just part of your system, and the way I trade shouldn't influence the way you trade. This is just a recap for me and my personal journal and stuff that I could look back on to see what's working and what's not. Because we swept the low, we invert this, you're kind of going here expecting this to just rip, right? But not me. So it rejected this, and it created this inversion down here, which as soon as the next candle opened and tapped a little bit higher, I was in. So on this tap, I was in, I got slipped a little bit, and it filled me like kind of at the close of this, which is not a problem because it's an inversion nonetheless. I was targeting the 15-minute gap that I had mentioned before. But when I see that it's so heavy like this, as soon as we tap the gap itself, I start trailing. Like, for example, let's say this is my stop loss, right? Let's say this blue line is my stop loss. I had it up here, a little bit above midnight open. As soon as we tap here, I'm grabbing and I'm dragging because I don't want to see this tap and then immediately reverse. And I'm dragging and I'm dragging and I'm dragging and I'm dragging it. And I don't care because at this point, it's a dynamic risk to reward thing. As soon as we're down here, you no longer have the same risk to reward. And I've touched on that before. But my last target was the complete fill of the gap, which we got there pretty quickly. So all in all, this was like a 80-second trade, I want to say, because as soon as this candle opened, it just flushed right through. So these are the days that it makes it fun because you know that not every day is going to be like this, but the days have the potential of giving you this delivery, and these are the trades that kind of keep you coming back, but you also have to be careful with it because the same way it keeps you coming back is the same way that you could get wrecked, right? You could say, okay, that was quick, that was fun, let me make more. Not me. I'm done for the day. Like, I got my piece of the pie. I'm happy with it. I followed my plan, and the last thing I would like to do is have a great day turn sour because of greed or fear of missing out or reaching payout goals and all that stuff. It's not worth it because very rarely do you have a day that starts this well and ends that well. You're not going to just continue to short it and short it and short it and then look at the pop. And then you're going to try to long it and look at the dip again. So just have to be smart and be aware of your triggers and the stuff that kind of makes you tick in situations like this. For me, is more I have data that the trade idea works, that my scenarios are working, that everything that I'm looking for in a trade is correct, my bias is correct, and it's fun. It's fun. So on a Wednesday, usually you get some pretty clean price action. I don't want to jinx it, but my worst days are Tuesdays. Wednesdays are not that bad for me. So every day is a little bit different, but this one was fun. So I'll try to touch more on it a little bit as we do more recap videos, but for the most part, this was one of the best days I've ever had, or the quickest days I've ever had, excuse me. So yeah, I'll probably be back tomorrow, probably take the day off, I don't know. If you see a video tomorrow, good. If not, I'll see you guys next time.